It was snowing on Halloween, and despite the weather coming down harder than expected, me and my small friend group were determined to go out. Most of our friends had parents who shut the idea down immediately, so the night ended up being just me, Lily, and Rowan. We bundled up in heavy coats and winter boots before heading out, the snow crunching under our feet with every step. Even though the night felt strangely quiet, we were still excited. Halloween never felt complete unless you were out in the cold with a bag of candy and at least one friend beside you. After about an hour, Rowan had to go home. His mom didn't want him out too long in the snow. That left just me and Lily. We kept walking through our neighborhood, but something felt off. Every time I looked over my shoulder, I saw the same tall figure standing just far enough away to pretend he wasn't following us. A man in a black coat, wearing a mask. When Lily eventually had to head home too, I was left alone to walk back. The streetlights flickered, the wind picked up, and the snow made everything eerily quiet. That same masked man was still there, only now he was much closer, cutting through the edge of the woods to keep pace with me. The last thing I remember before running was his head slowly tilting to the side, watching me like he already knew where I lived. Story 2. The Cabin Visitor. My name is Anna, and at the time of this story, I was 29 years old. Autumn had always been my favorite season, so I booked a small cabin for a few peaceful days away from the city. It was quiet, isolated, surrounded by trees that looked beautiful, but somehow unsettling at night. On the first night, around midnight, someone knocked on my back door. I froze. I wasn't expecting anyone, and there couldn't have been neighbors closer than half a mile. I didn't move or respond, and after a minute the knocking stopped. I brushed it off as maybe a lost hiker, but deep down I knew that wasn't true. The next night it happened again. 3 slow knocks. This time I quietly peeked around the corner of the hallway. The porch light was off, but the moonlight gave me just enough visibility, and that's when I saw him. A man standing completely still, facing the door. And even though the glass was dark, I swear his eyes were staring directly at where I was standing, like he already knew I'd be watching. I didn't sleep in that cabin again. Story 3. The Open Door on Halloween Night. Where I live, Halloween nights are always freezing. I spent the evening inside handing out candy while watching movies between doorbell rings. It was a typical night, or so I thought. At some point, I noticed the front door was wide open, gently swinging in the cold wind. I was confused because I was sure I closed it every time a kid left. I shut it again, thinking maybe I'd forgotten. Hours later, I went upstairs. My bedroom door was cracked open. My closet door was open too. I never leave either of those open. I reached out to push the bedroom door closed, and that's when I saw a shadow move under the gap at the bottom of it. Someone was standing right behind it, motionless. I didn't wait to see who it was. I ran straight out of my house. Story 4. Ding Dong Ditch Nightmare. 3 years ago on Halloween, someone kept ringing my doorbell in the middle of the night. I ignored it at first, assuming it was kids messing around, but it kept happening every single night for days. Then on Halloween, something felt different. The doorbell rang again, but the sound seemed off. I stepped into the hallway and noticed a small device sitting on the floor near the door. When I picked it up, I realized it was a recording of a doorbell chime. Someone had placed it there, meaning whoever was doing this didn't ring the doorbell. They got inside. I heard a loud thump upstairs, then another. A door creaked. Someone was in the house. I ran toward the front door, but as soon as I opened it, I nearly collided with a man wearing a mask, standing right on my porch like he had been waiting for me to open it. Story 5. The Grocery Store Ambush. This happened not too long ago when I was 26. I worked overnight shifts stocking shelves in a grocery store. Most nights were quiet, and I preferred the calm. But on this night, a group of people in Halloween masks kept moving around the parking lot, pacing back and forth, sometimes stopping to stare at the store entrance. It made me uneasy, but I tried to ignore it. A little after midnight, I heard 3 loud knocks on the front glass doors. When I went to check, no one was there. The parking lot was empty. Minutes later, I heard the sound of glass shattering from the front entrance, followed by fast footsteps inside the store. Multiple people. They were moving quickly, spreading out like they were searching for me. I ran to the back exit and slipped out just in time, hearing their footsteps rushing toward the storage area behind me. It was one of those nights where the cold seeps into your bones before you even step outside. The wind whipped relentlessly, carrying shards of snow that cut across my face, and the sky had been heavy with clouds all day, promising a blizzard. Yet I felt a strange pull to the woods behind my neighborhood, a forest I had wandered through countless times during the warmer months. Tonight, though, it looked different, menacing, silent except for the occasional groan of the trees bending under the weight of snow. I pulled my jacket tighter and wrapped a scarf around my face. My boots crunched through the thick layer of fresh snow, leaving deep, uneven impressions behind me. At first, everything seemed normal. The snow muffling most sounds, the trees standing as dark sentinels against the pale white of the snow-covered ground. But after a few minutes, a creeping sensation settled over me, a whisper at the back of my mind telling me I was not alone. That's when I noticed the footprints. They weren't mine, not even close. They were larger, almost impossibly long, and the depth of the snow they displaced suggested a person of extraordinary weight, but not human. I tried to rationalize it. Perhaps it was a hiker who had come through earlier. Yet the prints didn't lead forward. They curved, spiraled, doubled back in ways that made no sense. And the most unnerving part? They seemed to be circling around me, keeping pace as if observing. A shiver ran down my spine, though the cold was already doing that job quite well. I turned to head back toward the edge of the woods, hoping to find the familiar path that led out. But the forest felt infinite. Every tree looked the same, their skeletal branches reaching out like grasping fingers. The snow muted all other sounds, making it impossible to hear whether anything was truly following me. Yet my instincts screamed that something was. Then I heard it, a soft crunch behind me, slow, deliberate, almost careful, as if whoever, or whatever, was following me wanted to draw out the fear. My heart raced. I stopped, straining to hear through the whistling wind. The sound paused. I exhaled slowly, hoping it had been my imagination, only for the snow behind me to shift again. Footsteps, matching my pace. I tried moving faster, but each step seemed heavier than the last. The snow clung to my boots, pulling at me, as if the forest itself wanted me trapped here. Panic set in. I ran. Branches scraped against my face, cutting through my scarf. Snow fell from the trees onto my shoulders like icy rain. The further I ran, the more disoriented I became. The footprints never left my path, and sometimes just out of the corner of my eye. I thought I saw shadows, quick, darting movements between the trees. I didn't dare stop to look directly, fearing whatever was watching would materialize if I gave it my attention. Eventually, I spotted a faint glow through the trees. Relief surged through me. A cabin, a place of warmth, shelter, safety. I ran toward it, lungs burning, boots sinking deep into the snow. But as I got closer, a cold dread replaced that brief hope. The cabin door was slightly ajar. Nobody had been there before. I approached cautiously. The glow wasn't from inside. The fireplace was dead. The windows frosted over. The door swayed slightly in the icy wind, creaking with every gust. I reached out and pushed it fully open. The room inside was empty, furniture dusted with snow blown in from the open door, the cold gnawing at my fingers. Nothing seemed out of place, except that the air felt wrong, heavy, oppressive. It pressed against me, as if the forest itself had followed me into this small space. Then I heard it. A whisper, soft but distinctly human. "Why did you come here?" I froze. The words seemed to crawl under my skin. I spun around, heart pounding, but the cabin was empty. The sound of the wind through the broken door was now a roar, Yet the whisper lingered. I stumbled backwards, slipping on the icy floor, trying to escape the room. But the shadows seemed to stretch, elongate, crawling along the walls as if alive. I bolted out the door, but the world outside had changed. The woods were darker, thicker, and the snow seemed almost black in the shadows. The footprints were no longer just around me. They led forward, disappearing into the heart of the forest. And then I saw them. Figures. At first, just silhouettes in the dim glow of the snow, but then they became more distinct. Tall, impossibly thin, their heads tilted at unnatural angles. They didn't move toward me in the way a normal creature would. They glided, their feet barely touching the ground, yet their presence was palpable. I turned to run, but my path was blocked by a fallen tree. I had nowhere to go. He whined, howled in my ears, carrying the faintest hints of whispering voices. Names, perhaps, or warnings, I couldn't tell. My lungs burned, my legs ached, and still, I felt their eyes, hundreds of them, watching. Then a figure stepped closer. A man. No, not quite human. His face was obscured by shadows, but the smile I glimpsed was impossibly wide, stretching too far, showing teeth too sharp. He raised a hand, pointing directly at me. And then all at once the forest erupted. Branches reaching out, snow swirling violently like a miniature blizzard. The other figures followed, circling me, closing in. I ran blindly, crashing through the trees, tripping over roots and broken branches. My chest heaved. Each breath a struggle. I didn't even look back. I couldn't. The forest seemed endless. Every turn just another dark corridor of looming trees and snow-laden shadows. Then finally, I saw it again. A faint light flickering between the trees. Another cabin? I ran toward it, praying it would be real. And it was. The door was solid, warm light spilling from the windows. I stumbled inside, slamming the door behind me and locking it. My back pressed against the door, shivering from cold and terror alike. The room was empty, safe, for now. But the window told a different story. Outside in the snow, hundreds of footprints converged toward the cabin. Not human footprints. Far too large, too deep, some with claw-like marks cutting through the snow. And in the distance, just past the tree line, I saw them. Eyes, hundreds of them, glowing faintly in the darkness, staring directly at me, waiting. I never left the cabin that night. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just watched the trees, listened to the wind, and tried not to move. The footsteps never stopped. Sometimes I thought I heard whispers coming from the snow itself, calling my name, laughing, taunting. By morning, the snowstorm had passed. The footprints were gone. The forest was silent again, as if nothing had ever happened. But I know what I saw. I know what followed me. And I will never, ever walk through those woods again. Not at night, not in the day, not ever. Even now, years later, when the wind is just right and the snow falls heavy and thick, I can hear them. Footsteps in the distance, watching, waiting.